Well, hello, friends of Private Universe. Hope you are all well. Today we are going to talk a little bit about youth, being young. All of us would love to go back in time, of course, and change some of the things that we've done or we didn't do, or some of those decisions that now we can look at through the eyes of an adult that has the experience of realizing that, probably I could have done things a little bit better, but that's the magic and the tragedy, my friends, of youth, that at the time of our lives when we should be equipped to make the right decisions for our future, well, we are not equipped because we don't have the experience. So there's only very, very, very few people who make the right decisions in their youth, and that's because they're abnormal. Well, in the literal sense of the term, because most of us, 99.99% of us, don't really know what we're going to do when we're 15 or 12 or whatever. But there are some people that have been very successful. When they talk about their youth, they knew already that they wanted to be a basketballer or a scientist, or an historian or whatever it may be, or they wanted to join the military, and they locked it in. And of course, it's like a bull running forward, like nothing's going to stop them. Imagine knowing when you're 10 exactly what you're going to do. I mean, unless there's someone out there that has done that, none of us can comprehend that, because our childhood is just learning from our mistakes and probably rebelling as well, and our peers and girls and boys and all this other stuff that comes with it. And more than anything, uncertainty, because we don't know what's going to happen. So those people that are capable of having made and have been successful, of course, because it's almost impossible to stop a kid that knows and wants what he's going to do in a few years' time, It's almost, yes, impossible to stop that. And it's wonderful to look at, but of course, it doesn't mean that those people are happier than us. If anything, sometimes it works out the other way because they've missed out on their childhood. They've noticed later on in life. So it is what it is, my friends, and the decisions we make when we're young affect us for the rest of our lives. What we study, if we study, the people that we hang around with, whether we do drugs or not, late nights, whether we take care of ourselves through exercising. There's so many things that we would look at and to form a future. But life would be so uninteresting if everything was already set out for us. It would be, if we lived in a totalitarian society, which some people do, of course, then our lives would be set out. But when we look at those societies from outside, whether they're in the past or they're contemporary ones, they're not very attractive, because we want to have free will. We want to be able to make those mistakes that come with growing up, those growing pains that they call it. And for most of us, I think, unless something terrible happened in our youth, most of us are at peace with the decisions we've made. And in my case, I'm punching way above my weight, despite coming from a poor migrant family. I've kind of like, in that sense, I've punched above my weight, but also intellectually, to tell the truth, the things I do require a certain amount of intelligence that I don't have, but in a way, I just do them anyway, and that was always been my forte. I have friends that are geniuses in something, but in the end, they don't get stuff done, and I've always thought, look, just get it done, even if it's mediocre, get it done. And as we go along in life, and I know it's happened to me, I try to get a bit better and try to learn crafts of things such as, doing this podcast or music or things that I don't live off, of course, hobbies, and try to perfect them. And you get better at it, of course, because you start with experience, learning, of course, as long as you're humble enough to admit that you don't know it all, then you will progress. But it's hobbies anyway, and it's not going to be a life changer. So it's one of those things that it doesn't really matter. I mean, for the world, I'm not going to change the world. You're not going to change the world with a hobby. But you never know. For ourselves, for the nourishment of the soul, it's very important to progress and try things despite what we did during our youth. New doors open all the time. And even if we want to go back to our youth, who doesn't? Who wouldn't want to be 15 again and have their life in front of them and have, I suppose, the advantage of hindsight? There's been books and many movies written about those things, and how wonderful it would be, eh? And hypothetically, we've sat around a table and talked about what we would do if we could go back in time and so forth. It's very, very appealing, of course. The reality is that we can't, or I don't think we can anyway, unless someone's invented some time machine that I don't know about. And even if you have got that time machine and you can go back, I don't know if I would change anything personally, because in one sense, you've got to love the life you have. It's very difficult philosophically to explain why we have the life we have, but the best way of doing it is, or the most coherent way, definition is that there's only one way our lives will turn out, and that's exactly the way it turns out. That's the best I can do, my friends. There's been many great thinkers and philosophers who have attempted to define this and haven't really gone anywhere, and that's the best we can do, I think, with what we have. And so if that is the case, that there's only one way it can turn out, and that's the way it did turn out, we have to embrace our life. Embrace it so much that if we could go back in a time machine, that we would not change a thing, eh? It's like a little bit like Friedrich Nietzsche's eternal recurrence, that we live this life over and over again. And if that is the case, then every moment is important, because you're going to be doing that for eternity. So make sure you make the right choices. It doesn't have to be morally the right choices, but the right choices for you, that you are happy with, I think. And it's a struggle because our brain takes us into the past, takes us into the future, and what we have to be doing is concentrating on the present, because that's when we're going to make those decisions. But we don't know the consequences until they come. And that is, my friend, the beauty of life, the beauty of free will, the uncertainty that comes with those choices. It would be so boring knowing exactly what was going to happen, even if it was fantastic. And so here we are, my friends, at a certain age of our lives, looking back at what we've done and saying to ourselves, I embrace that. I embrace Carlos at 15, even though I made some poor choices, my friends, but it's all part of who I am today, and hopefully you can do the same, because that's wonderful for self-esteem. And more than anything, it's wonderful to accept this life, the only life we have and can have, with all our heart. Okay? So that's a little message for today, my friends. Try to, if you can, think a little bit about how your life has turned out since you were young, how it may have turned out. Nothing can be changed, of course, but despite it all, embrace it and love it. It's great for the soul. Okay, I'll leave you here, my friends. I bid you farewell from Private Universe, but only for now, of course, and we shall talk soon.